Morning, everybody. Live from Contis Pastry Shop. Welcome to the Funkable Operator Podcast, episode 46. I am your host, Jay Funkadelic, the Funkable Operator. Knowing that I've seen Hulk Hogan passed away July 24th of this year, and it was a devastating situation with Hulk Hogan being booed on Netflix. Went to a Hot 97 block party yesterday. Shout out to my boys, the Clips, but I didn't hardly see them. And they had a Wu-Tang Clan concert in the Garden. I'm Jay Funkadelic, y'all, the Funkable Operator, talking about real facts and not really no nonsense about what I'm saying for the time from being who I am today in this world. Knowing that I represent that rap stuff to the fullest and getting it on. I heard Glorilla was arrested. She got locked up. I don't know what the reason was for it. Talking about the news, how people get into altercations and beefing with a lot of crazy people in life, and making sure that there's people like to be effing around from the time being that we see a lot of junkies be passing by asking you for money and sex, just like acting like a freaking prostitute. Well, we all know that a lot of things in life meant to be who I am today, knowing that I really need to score with a lot of good people in life. This is the Funkable Operator Podcast, episode 46. Jay Funkadelic, knowing that there's things in my life that I really recommend for to see how people like to be uplifted and gifted, from the time being. I really love the hip-hop game. Went to Cortona Park Jams. They had a police officer spitting her bars. I wish I would have met her because I like to rap to her myself. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to my boy from the TAC crew. I don't know what his name, but we took a selfie with each other, and he was a cool dude. I tag Fat Joe in the picture, but I don't know if he's gonna look at it or whatnot. I don't know. The situation with me is really not effing around or doing what I can, and rest in peace to Hulk Hogan once again, because back in the day I used to watch him wrestle with The Undertaker, with Sid Justice, Andre the Giant, and all those people. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot on my mind, doing a lot of things in my own situations with my own self. And I really like to see people thrive to what I see in life. You know what I'm saying? There's people in my life that I really care about from the own time being on my podcast. And people are going to hate, and people are going to love, no matter how life would be. But let's get back to this episode and its situation. Rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. Rest in peace to that Cosby character, Malcolm Jamore Warner. I used to watch the Cosby shows back in the day when they had Fat Albert and the Jell-O pudding commercials with Bill Cosby, and watching the Cosby Show. Rest in peace, shout out to Earl Hyman. Known he played as Panthro from the Thundercats. He was the voice of Panthro from watching Thundercats back in the early 80s. This show is sponsored by Contis Pastry Shop and the Funkable Operator Podcast, episode 46. We all know that Hulk Hogan passed away We all know that Ozzy Osbourne passed away, and we all know Malcolm Jamal Warner died. I get that feeling that people born to live, born to die. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't respect life how it is when people do drugs and when people act crazy in the buildings and people fight and have altercations and seeing all this crazy stuff jumping off for the type of reason. How would y'all feel about you getting picked on? You don't deserve to be a hip-hop artist. You don't have to be a rapper to like hip-hop music. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of folks out there that take pictures with celebrities are hip-hop fanatics, just like I am. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're older than me, and I don't really care if you're younger than me, because I don't give a damn about that. How would I feel about the culture that you see hip-hop is worldwide and global, like I've been spitting bars like it's a rap cyclopedia? You would understand why people are just not very sarcastic about listening to gangster rap, hardcore hip-hop, or whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? Because people are going to be very disrespectful. Even if they're hip-hop stars, they get arrested, they get shot, they get killed, they have altercations with other people in life. Rest in peace to PNB Rock. He was at a Waffle House eating with his girlfriend, and he didn't take his jewelry off. And the reason why he got killed, because, you know, I know his father must have killed him. Don't you think about that would had to happen to that stuff? That he got killed in an altercation at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Los Angeles, California. How would y'all really know about that happened in reality? How y'all know that every day we was always lit for the time being in every situation? You know, people are going to be very rude and disrespectful in life. Most people in this world, most people in this world are not really perfect. And you have to understand that for the time being, for the right reason, that you have to be really legitimate of what you really do in life. How do you conquer your own missions and not act like a real punk? You know, Jay Funkadelic is telling the facts of the life that we all live in, from watching classic TV shows and knowing about watching movies and playing video games like Nintendo, Sega, or Xbox, or even PlayStation. Some video games are really violent. Even if you play Mortal Kombat or any type of video game, it can be rated PG or rated R or X-rated, like you're watching porn videos. You know, I heard a lot about the wrestling situation from the WWE, known as the WWF. When I saw Hulk Hogan in Fanatic Fest, I was happy to meet Hulk Hogan and when he was as well-being and alive that time. Back in 2024, last year, when I saw it last August, when I've seen Hulk Hogan, you know, when I bought a ticket and I paid for it to see Hulk Hogan, and it was most exciting just to meet him really in person, when I know he used to sign autographs and taking pictures at the Fanatic Fest. Hulk Hogan is a cultural icon because his legacy will never, 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 ever be duplicated. Okay? Especially Ozzy Osbourne, because I remember watching the Osby sitcom, the reality TV series that he had. And also I used to watch Hogan Knows Best on VH1 with Brooke Hogan, Linda Hogan, Nick Hogan. You know, hanging out with Hulk Hogan was the real deal. You know, when he promoted the Great American Beer, saying, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, what you're gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Talking like he meant to be. He's got that real raspy voice, just like you're watching the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and Miss Elizabeth teaming up with the Mega Powers, going to the NWO, representing Hulkamania to WrestleMania. from the time from being about the situation with Hulk Hogan that they were saying, talking the N-word about Hulk Hogan being inducted to the Hall of Fame from the WWE. You know, there's a lot going on in life that I really talk about from my own situation. Rest in peace, shout out to Chris Farley. Rest in peace, shout out to John Belushi. You know, rest in peace, shout out to Rodney Dangerfield, Master Don. You know, people are just very nice to me when I talk about that real hip-hop situation with my own self. Knowing that I am the truth when it comes to rapping. I am the truth when it comes to knowing about hip-hop. Even if you do social studies and math and history and getting it on from your time being who the really you think I am, who you really think you are, saying that, you know, Michael Manson. Nah, you mean Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne. Who's Michael Manson? I know. Yeah, rest in peace to Michael Manson, brother. And Hulk Hogan, yeah. Hulk Hogan with the 24-inch pythons. You know, say your prayers and eat your vitamins. We know, I've already talked about it on this podcast from Jay Funkadelic, the Funkable Operator podcast, episode 46. This is live from Contis Pastry Shop, talking about what I know about doing my own hip-hop flavors and getting it on for the type of the right reason that we see in reality, you know, getting the keys to the city from Funkmaster Flex. You know what I'm saying? You know, getting the keys to the city from Funkmaster Flex was a really good idea, since they gave the keys to the city to Puff Daddy before he got locked up with the feds. You know, I remember like Puff Daddy was in a situation being in jail because he was a child molester and didn't want to get involved in it with rapper Jay-Z. You know, I really understand that people are not cool in life. People could be very rude and cocky and very disrespectful. You know, some people are mean. People could be very sarcastic. We all know what we talk about in life. And we all know the situation with everybody else that we all see from the time being. You know, being aware of what's going on. Being aware of how people treat you the right way and looking to work, get a job, get a good salary, and make all that money that you have from being paid. You know? But, you know, sometimes when you gamble with the money, you know, you become a jinx. You curse yourself out. You really destroy yourself when you gamble. But when my mother and father passed away, you know, they're not dead, but they're still alive till this day, my parents. And I love them so much. But back in the day, I took trial and error medications that wasn't making me feel right. And I had a lot of altercations with my father, similar to them with my mother. You know what I'm saying? But I respect a lot of people in my life. I'm not going to talk bad about my mother. I'm not going to talk bad about my father. You know what I'm saying? The medications that I was on made me act the way I did. You know what I'm saying? But I had to be hospitalized for a very long time to get better. Taking better medication and feeling very all right with myself. And not giving a damn about nobody else. Because some other people could be on trial and error medications to this day. Some people are just not acting right. Some people are just want to put the foul ball on you and put the pitfalls on you if you're going to perform in any type of situation. People are going to hate. People are going to really hate. They can be very jealous because you got a picture with somebody and they didn't get it. A lot of people want to do that jealousy on social media, and there's a lot of people do jealousy in real life. You know? All about reality. How many of y'all think I should go to a new Public Enemy concert in Ashbury Park? How could that be so realistic when I go to see Public Enemy at a concert in New York City? I don't care. I would love to go to another Public Enemy concert. I would love to go. If anybody knows about Public Enemy, because I love Flavor Flav to death. I love Chuck D, DJ Lord, Terminator X, Professor Griff, The Last Asian Disciples, the S1Ws. You know what I'm saying? Harry Allen, I gotta ask him to don't believe the hype. I'm talking about real facts of real hip-hop stuff. Not the mumble rap I listen to on Hot 97. But I like to turn off Hot 97 and bump hip-hop for the real hood. The real hip-hop is where it's at. When you talk to the Funkable operator, known as myself, Jay Funkadelic. I met a lot of people in my life, but some people I couldn't meet, even if they went too soon to be passing away. You know what I'm talking about? You know the situation with me, with the celebrities and the security push you out the way like you're a door and not really giving a damn about how you feel about the situation, that you're not being legit about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to snap out of it and know about reality the way I really see how shit could be when people are going to really hate in life and not really give a damn about you. People are going to curse you out. You tell them to go F themselves. You think people are going to put you in a daze, and people are going to really disrespect you no matter how hard you try. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to believe in you. They don't want to look at you. They want to be thinking they're looking at you the wrong way. But I want to really recommend it that you stay away from these drug addicts. People are going to smoke. People are going to use their phones for real technology to have your own podcast, and thinking people are not going to really like you or take advantage of you and do some dumb stuff that make them want to call the police and get you locked up. And then you got to deal with the feds, and then you got to go to court. And if you kill somebody, you do life in prison. And be having justice for the guy that's passing away and dead already. What I'm really saying is that I love the hip-hop culture. Shout out to my boy Grandmaster Cass. Shout out to the First Lady of Hip-Hop, MC Sha Rock. I talk about real facts when the time 50 Cent and Fat Joe had beef. And that time being when 50 Cent and Fat Joe had their beef. Shout out to my man Fat Joe and Jadakiss. They got a podcast, the Joe and Jada. Shout out to them people that be holding it down, putting celebrity guests on there, and realizing the culture is where it's at. Feeling that people are just not sarcastic when they have their own podcast shows. But I'm really not even mad at nothing. I'm just taking advantage of my own life and making sure everything is okay and all gravy with spaghetti sauce. The reason why I love to do my own Funkable Operator podcast, because I just enjoy talking to people that I already know about the situation with my own self and not give a damn about anybody else in life. This podcast is PG. It ain't going to be rated R anymore because I don't want to curse on my podcast. I like to keep everything nice and clean and edited for my own freaking self. You know what I'm saying? I love to be going to concerts, but I didn't go to that Gorilla Nems concert and Busta Rhymes because Gorilla Nems called me the punani. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say the P word, but he called me a punani for that type of reason, saying that, when the time I saw him in Bushwick Collective in Bushwick, Brooklyn, when he told me to don't shake my hand and want to go off on me and saying all this type of crazy stuff, saying he's going to beat me up when I hit him up on Shade 45 on the Don't Ever Disrespect Me radio show on Shade 45. I called him up to spit a freestyle, And then he said, "Oh, get the F out of here," and saying all this crazy stuff, and he hung up on me for like 5 seconds. Wouldn't I believe he would act like a real idiot and thinking a scumbag would want to be on my podcast, and thinking he's not being legit about the situation with myself, and thinking that people are going to be getting cocky and doing all this stupid stuff, and people are going to be hating. No matter how many times people are going to be like very rude and say the craziest stuff that people meant to say what they say crazy. I'm not them. I'm not you. I'm just myself talking about the facts that this podcast is sponsored by Contis Pastry Shop on Morris Park on Barnes Avenue, where I used to live back in the 1980s. Because I grew up living on Barnes Avenue in my spare time. Because then I moved to Teeman Avenue back in 1992 of December 10th, before it was Christmas time. Y'all remember that situation with me, only for the fact that I miss my dog Coco, I miss my cat Paris. You know, I remember when my cat used to bite my feet and bite my hand one time, and then Coco, you know, I was petting him, I fed him. You know, it was a girl. It wasn't really a guy dog. It was a female dog. It was a white female Shih Tzu that I used to get along with, and Coco was a very nice dog. And I loved Coco so much that that the dog, you know, kept me company. He was like a watchdog. You know, Coco was a good dog, and I respect Coco. I know Coco's gone and never be forgotten. My mom was very devastated when Coco passed away. I remember that time when Coco died. I was going through depression like worse than my mom did. I was going through depression when Paris passed away, you know, because she was sick and old, and she lived up to 18, and you know, she died. You know, Paris was very sick. She couldn't like jump for water. I remember she used to jump like a rabbit drinking the water out of my mom's faucet. You know, I miss my Paris, the cat that I used to have back in the past, and she really like was biting everybody's feet. She used to come in the house, come down the stairs in the morning, seeing Paris, you know, looking to get something to eat, and she snapped at my feet like I was stepping on thumbtacks. You know, she was a cool cat. I loved it, Paris. That Paris was my life. But, you know, Janine got that cat from her ex-boyfriend, Louis. You know, I remember Louis. That was Janine's ex-boyfriend before she got married to Rob Barish. You know, shout out to my homegirl, Janine Conti. I know she ain't even listening right now, but this is the podcast of J Funkadelic, aka the Funkable Operator, the Funkable Man, the Funk Lord. You know, Funkville Radio is what I have on Mixcloud, and I've been DJing with real exclusive underground hip-hop records that I've been playing for the past months and the past years. That I've been playing a lot of old school trap underground. It didn't matter if it was house or reggaeton or some type of ways that I've been listening to this type of music that I really want to enjoy in my own lifetime. You know, I've been DJing for like long as I've been listening to hip hop, and long as I've been spitting bars and be getting the tension on the mic and then be DJing. Because, you know, I am a DJ and I'm a real MC. You know what I'm saying? I'm really those type of guys that you never want to F around with, and seeing how people are gonna, you know, notice that I love the culture. Like everybody loves the culture, listening to hip hop from Vic's Music Hut and Up NYC. I got more respect in Up NYC than Vic's Music Hut, because Vic's Music Hut I really don't like to be there. I blocked him from Instagram. I really didn't give a damn about Victor, because I gave him too many chances of being my friend. And then, he was talking crazy and saying all these types of things because I don't buy nothing from him. He kept on saying it for a long time. I know from hanging out with me, he blew all his chances. He blew it. He's done. He's finished. So I don't even want to go there no more, because Victor doesn't have to be my friend. He doesn't have to, but he could be cool with me. But, I don't really want to be in Victor's too much. It's because for a fact that, some of his employees have murky attitudes, and they talk a lot of crap about what I do in there, looking at all the ladies in there, saying what they say, and, I don't have any money to buy anything because I can't afford nothing when I work there. I never worked at Victor's. I never been there for a very long time. And I don't want to go there and get aggravated by Victor himself or talking to his father's nice. I respect Victor's father, but I don't respect his son because I gave him too many chances of being nice to him. And then, he started to curse at me, saying all this crazy type of things. And I wasn't really feeling it for the time being. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying about a situation like talking to Victor from the hut, saying that he could be my friend. But I've been supporting him before social media and before all platforms was out, when I used to buy records from Victor. That was the time in the 90s and early 2000s when I supported Victor from buying records from him for a very long time. And everything that I've done when the internet came out, when I started downloading music, he was very upset that I didn't buy anything from him in a long time. You know what I'm talking about? The situation with Victor and everybody else, seeing that people are going to be disrespectful in life. They might turn your back on you, but the only thing you need to do is stay positive, be yourself, stay away from negative people, stop talking crazy about people for a while, because one day you're going to forget about it, and although you're going to let it go. Okay, I'm Jay Funkadelic. This is the Funkable Operator Podcast, episode 46. I'll see you next time. Peace.